Hey everyone, me Kevin here. Today we have a few new details from the Congressional Budget Office, but first, a few notes. Yes, this week technically Congress is not at work. They're on, as we like to say on YouTube, vacation. Now, technically they're still working, but it's one of those kinds of still working where you're like, yeah, I'll get to this after I go to the casino and the bar and I go do everything else I want to do, because that's just how slow Congress seems to be. And again, it is true, yes, the Senate and the House are not in session this week. However, House committees will be in session, and we're told that the $1.9 trillion package will finally be done in the House and fully written this week. And if it gets done this week, then we can vote to pass it next week, and then it'll go over to the Senate where we'll see what happens. I did a video breaking down the time frame for the next stimulus package. I'll link that down below so you could watch that after this video. But for now, here's some other things to note. Joe Biden is now pushing for automatic stabilizers again. This is something that is not currently in the existing stimulus package, but it's something that would automatically provide a federal unemployment boost when unemployment levels rise to certain highs. This is according to the Washington Post that Biden has sort of renewed this talk now. Again, the current stimulus package does not include something like this. Biden's stimulus plan will also extend the eviction ban, through September 30th, but we still don't have any student loan forgiveness. We have no idea if mortgage forbearance is going to get extended. The year of mortgage forbearance, all of that expires at the end of March. So we'll see what kind of cliffs we run into. It seems like that's not even being dealt with right now. Biden is also redefining bipartisanship. He says he's supposed to be bipartisan, and that's his goal. But now, rather than saying, yeah, let's be bipartisan in Congress, he's saying, let's just be bipartisan with, where are the Republicans that support this? Mayors and governors. Look at all the Republican mayors and governors who support this, who are also getting billions of dollars in bailouts. Politics at its best. But anyway, we've got a little bit more info from the Congressional Budget Office. I'm not going to go through all of this because it gets a little dry. It's kind of like you need coffee at 8 o'clock at night because, yeah, it's the Congressional Budget Office. Anyway, this is where they go, oh my gosh, this is going to cost us $800 billion or $923 billion for everything that the House Ways and Means Committee wants. They talk about extending unemployment benefits through the 29th. It's kind of useful, though, to actually finally see this in writing here, because so many people are like, what about this? What about this? What about this? Here. Let's just read this really quick, and then I want to talk about stimulus checks and some other things. So, people who receive regular or extended unemployment compensation benefits, trade readjustment allowances, short-term compensation, STC, it's a big one, PUA benefits, or PEUC, will get their benefits extended through August 29th. And you'll get an extra $400 each week. So that'll get extended plus the additional $400 per week. Under current law, people in these programs receiving $300 or are receiving $300 per week. And it says additionally here, people who receive at least $5,000 in self-employment income in the most recent tax year and receive unemployment benefits other than PUA. So basically, if you get state unemployment benefits, you had $5,000 of self-employment income, you might be eligible for an additional $100 per week. So check onto that. It says here, this legislation would extend that add-on through August 29th. So check into this. If you haven't gotten a bonus $100 yet, if you're self-employed, there are restrictions in terms of how much you need to make to be able to qualify for that. But check that. That's nice if you can get an extra $100 boost. Pandemic unemployment assistance going from 50 weeks to 74 weeks. We got the PEUC, so many acronyms, it's nuts, going from 24 to 48 weeks. Regular unemployment compensation here, they really just talk about how it affects the state's budget or the country's budget. Let's jump on over. We get some additional programs over here. Elder support programs, emergency assistance to children and families, emergency assistance to families through home visiting programs. A lot of smaller programs here, but getting benefits as well. Want to touch on stimulus checks though. So this is where we see the usual, the $1,400 going to any filer plus $1,400 per dependent. The credit would phase out for taxpayers with adjusted gross income between $75K and $100K as an individual, obviously double for joint filers, and in between that for heads of household. Now, it does here say that eligibility for the tax payments would be based on information reported on your 2019 tax return or 2020 if available. This is why people are saying maybe don't file your 2020 if your income went up, so you could still claim that credit. And take a look at this. They say here, taxpayers who are eligible for 2021 tax credits that are less than their advance payments. In other words, if you got a full stimulus check, but then when you file your taxes, you're technically not eligible for the check anymore because your income went up, you would not be required to repay the difference. It's a big deal right there. Also, dependent filers would not be eligible, and a social security number would be required for eligibility for filers and their dependents. That's different from what we saw in the $600 stimulus check bill when ITIN and mixed status families were eligible, and there was even this retroactive movement for them. So this here is different. This says you have to have a social. We've also got some information here on the child tax credit. It's just worth noting that, remember, this child tax credit, the $3,000 for children 6 to 17 or $3,600 for under 6, just remember that this tax credit is an increase from $2,000. So you're not getting like this full brand new tax credit, right? It is an increase from $2,000. Also look into the earned income tax credit. I always like to write down notes, like next time I go talk to my CPA or TurboTax or whatever, just like ask about this, have that on a notepad, right? It's a good practice to have. It's hard to remember all this stuff, especially like when you're on the phone, you're like, oh crap, I can't remember all this stuff. But anyway, take a look at this. I thought this line was here pretty interesting. The amount of the credit would be increased for taxpayers with no qualifying children, and eligibility for the credit is expanded to higher income taxpayers and certain childless taxpayers who are younger than 25 or older than 65. So an interesting thing here. So if you're younger than 25 or older than 65, look into some of the changes here for the earned income tax credit. Dependent care assistance going up to 50%, $4,000 for one dependent, up to $8,000 for 2 or more dependents. Some big changes here. Education and Labor also had their Congressional Budget Office document come out. Obviously they're spending almost $300 billion here on education and labor. But one of the things that I thought was really, really interesting, and this, they're supposed to be super nonpartisan, not taking sides. And look, nobody doesn't take sides better than Meet Kevin, okay? I don't take sides. Just try to report what I find here. And oftentimes I'm really trying to provide primary sources. You know, I personally prefer looking at these documents than just like, oh, let's find something to regurgitate. I'm always trying to find this kind of detailed information and try to read between the lines a little bit. Hopefully you find that helpful. Also, make sure, I'm going to link down below a video on the tax credits, the child tax credits, just so you understand how that works a little bit better. Because I know a lot of you are confused on that or potentially confused on that. So I'll link that down below. But anyway, this legislation would increase the federal minimum wage to $15 per hour by 2025. Okay, we know that's included. We don't know yet if Kristen Sinema is going to axe this or Joe Manchin. You know, we'll wait to see what they do. But anyway, look at this, which would affect the federal budget and impose intergovernmental and private sector mandates. It's very interesting how they purposefully included this language here, which would affect the federal budget. That is a very key statement right there that basically makes the parliamentarian's job in the Senate really freaking easy to say, oh, well, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, they said it affects the budget, so I guess it's fair to have the minimum wage in a budget reconciliation bill. Thank you very much. My job here is done. Let me collect my $173,000 paycheck because, folks, that's what she gets paid. Freaking Congress is nuts. Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to link those other videos down below if you found this helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Consider sharing, subscribing, and folks, we'll see you in the next video.